Okay, so we are on live. This is our next session, and apologies for last week because I was invited to attend the Songkran or Thai New Year festival in Birmingham. So as a result, I have asked Warapon to change the date. So that's why we are here today. Okay, so Warapon, do you want to say anything before we start?
Just welcome back everyone again to join us for the session. So I think last month we have done for the sati, right? Sati, for the tansi, the new way of practice. So then maybe this time Ajahn need to introduce again because we are new participant again.
Okay, so in that case, first of all, happy birthday, Warapon. Wishing you all the best for your success in both worldling and also in spiritual journey. Right? So let's start our day with a short meditation. Right? As you hear a gong, close your eyes and I will guide you through. Right? Just bring your attention to the body. Be mindful of your present moment. Leaving all your responsibilities aside. And just to be here and now. Mindful of the body sitting here and now. Spend some time checking your body. Is there any tension around? And let them relax. And take some deep breaths. And connect with your primary object. So just bring your attention to be mindful of the primary object. The breath, in-breath and out-breath, or the rising and falling of abdomen. Whichever you have been adapting and practicing with, just be mindful of it. So calming the body by observing the bodily posture helps to calm the mind. And it's easy to keep our mind still. As we are aware, when we become anxious or a panic, a breath changes. And when we pay attention to the breath, take a long breath, a short breath, it helps to calm feelings, emotions, and the body. So simply settling down, grounding yourself on your primary object, just to relax the body and the mind. And when we are paying attention to the primary object, it is a natural thing that the mind will wander off. Mind will lost into the thoughts of the plans. Just to be mindful of that by observing it, that mind has drifted away. Acknowledging that mind away from the breath or the primary object. Noticing it, how this is, or perceiving it as it is. Sometimes you may make a mental note, thinking, or perceiving, and back to the moment and the primary object. Remember, do not generate any resistance or any disappointment with the thoughts or plans creeping in. All we are doing is responding it rather than reacting. Responding, it is there. With our own intention, we are paying attention to our intended object, developing focused attention, which is the first way of a practice, concentration. just to remember that whenever mind lost into the thoughts, using these techniques of observing, acknowledging, noting, and let it go. And back to the moment here and now. Do not try to hang on with any pleasant sensations or pleasant thoughts. Or do not resent to any unpleasant thoughts or unpleasant experiences. All what we are doing is simply observing, acknowledging, noting, and letting go. Just having a one object that we care and that we try to be mindful of. And as you hear a gong, slowly open your eyes and come out to the normal life. Okay, so good morning once again. Before we moving on, is there anything that anybody wants to share or ask on your practice? You can do. So this is the always beautiful moment that whenever I ask, everybody goes silent. Okay, so last session, I think if I remember correctly, I was talking about how to develop a focus attention by using the breath, and calming the body and calming the breath by observing the breath. And this breath again, we were using a breath at the nose or the abdomen, that whichever one you feel comfortable to pay attention to, you can use. And I remember some of you have comfortable with some of you feel comfortable with the nose breath coming in and going out, and some of you feel comfortable with the abdomen rise and fall. And also I was explaining that although that is a primary object we call, there will be other secondary objects arises, like let's say a sound, pain, itchiness, thoughts, plans, and all sort of things will pop in, and that is known as a secondary object. And in the sitting meditation, these will be obvious and will be able to pay attention to. and also explain a little bit on the walking meditation and how to be mindful in daily activities. I hope that you've been practicing. And this morning, when before coming to Zoom, I was just reflecting the previous sessions. Previous sessions that I requested you to be mindful of 15 seconds of a mindfulness. Do you remember? Anybody? Yeah, I was wondering that whether you managed to maintain that practice. This before coming out from the bed, or in a shower room, or before eating. So it's a crucial, for the development of meditation, mindfulness meditation. Okay, and and particularly there's a 3 period of a time. If you can develop, then obviously it helps a lot. Right? You're still managing to do that? Okay, so I hope you're still mindful of that. Yeah? So mindfulness means remembering to do it. Okay. And I heard initially today that talking about the Songkran, or Thai New Year festival going on, which is again in Thailand called Songkran, and obviously in India, in Sri Lanka, in Nepal, in Bangladesh, they also celebrate as a New Year celebration, and that's on the 14th of April. Whereas the Songkran, not only in Thailand, in Laos, in Cambodia, in Myanmar, also celebrate as the Songkran festival. But in Thailand, they have got beautiful stories related to the Songkran, and also beautiful culture and beautiful celebration. It involves with the Buddhism, involves with culture of costume contexts, beauty contexts, and water fighting, so many activities. But among that, I really like few. Among that, I really like a few stories. Okay, one particular that I normally use it a lot, even giving a talks. I normally use it. I use it a lot too. That is blessings. There is a particular story comes. It's called Dhammapala. This guy was a very clever man. Could solve all the problems. Right? He was very intelligent, and the story goes up that even the Brahma, the highest god, Brahma, so-called Kapila Brahma, his name was Kapila Brahma, wanted to test his intelligence. So he descends from the heavenly world and come and ask this Dhammapala, saying, okay, you are a very intelligent man, so I'm going to ask you these 3 questions, and if you can answer after 7 days, then I will spare you your life. If you cannot, then I will chop your head down. So we'll just chop your head. And then if you can answer, I will chop my head. So both put their heads to there. And this divine Brahma was confident that the Kapila, this Dhammapala will not be able to answer that. So he asked 3 questions. Number 1, where is the blessings in the morning? Number 2, where is the blessings in the afternoon? Number 3, where is the blessings in the evening? So anybody wants to bet your head? Where do you think blessings in the morning. Lost into thoughts. Okay, so blessings in the morning. Well, let me tell a story so that you will have a story in your mind. And this Dhammapala ponder and investigates and analyze and couldn't find the answer. And on the sixth day, he thought, okay, tomorrow morning I'm going to die. Now I can't find the answer, so he just went out just to chill out and sat under the tree. Then the story goes on saying that there were two eagles living in that tree. And then they're saying that, oh, tomorrow we don't have to go and search for a food. And a female eagle said, why? Because tomorrow Dhammapala is going to die. And so we will have a human flesh for our lunch. And then the female eagle said, and she asks, why? And then he said that, oh, because Dhammapala was asked by a Kapila Brahma, and now Dhammapala doesn't know the answer. And then she asked, do you know the answer? And then he said, why not? I do know. And what is the answer? And Dhammapala is sleeping under the tree. They're just resting under the tree. They were having a conversation. A story is a story, so you can understand a bird's conversation. So Dhammapala understood the bird's conversation. So then he replies her saying, blessings in the morning is in your face. Why do you think in your face? And the blessings in the afternoon is in your chest. And then blessings in the evening is in your feet. Why do you think it will be there? Now, when you wake up, if you're a zombie, do you think that people would like to talk to you? Grumpy, and you haven't brushed your teeth and you haven't washed your face. Do you think people like to see you? Not only people would like to see you, but also you alone. You also feel uncomfortable, feel something wrong, something not good. So I need to brush it up, right? Or clean our face. And that's how first blessings comes from face. That cheer it up, wash it up, clean it up. So that is the first blessing. And the second blessings in your chest. Any thoughts why this is on your chest? And again, on your chest, because if you are not wearing a nice clothes, you don't feel comfortable. If you haven't taken a shower and you're going to a meeting, you feel, oh, I'm so stinky. Will the next person smells me? And so that's how you lost your confidence. Further on, if you don't have a good job, a good status, good education, then again, you feel uncomfortable. You feel no blessings, and whatever you're doing, you feel this little down. So that's why the moment when you are wearing a nice clothes and having a good education and good work, a good job, your chest will be like, blowing. So you will be walking like a very majestically, and especially ladies, if they are wearing nice clothes, then they can walk with full confidence everywhere with a head up. So that's what blessings in the afternoon is on the chest. And the last one is blessings in the evening, and that is in your feet. Do you know why it's in your feet? Yeah. And the reason behind this in your feet, again, the story says that you have been walking around. When you're coming in, you're bringing the dusts with you, so you have to wash it away. With that, you are not in a dirty state while you are in a home, while you are at home. So I take it very seriously, actually, particularly those who are working outside, and which is, again, a normal nowadays. Many people bring their job at home rather than living at home, living at the office. So in Asian culture, whenever you're coming home, you have to take off your shoes. And that taking off is like a washing things away. Do not bring things from outside to home. And with that, you can have a harmonious, peaceful family life. But if you're bringing it home, what happens? Oh, everything become messed up. So it's a letting go of whatever you have been doing outside of house. So that is bringing blessings to you. So you are blessed with your life, with your family life. Right? So this is, I really like this story part, this part of the story. And now today we are here again. You have to check how can we receive these blessings. It's not by any gods or any divine beings giving a blessings, but this is what we do by ourselves. We are creating our own blessings, checking our own blessings. Now, these 3 moments, would you be able to be mindful of? When you are washing your face and brushing your teeth, will you be mindful of that? Okay, I am giving a blessings to me. And mindfully you are brushing, mindfully you are washing your face. And in the afternoon, or after, let's say now going to work or doing something, will you be able to be mindful? Okay, I'm giving blessings to me. Rather than thinking of what I am going to get. Just being oneself, and then when their own self, being mindful of what am I doing? So what, rather than asking of what it is, giving a blessings to yourself. So being mindful of every thing that you are doing in your day-to-day life. Right? Although you may not be able to do all the time, but at least sometimes, right? At least sometimes, let's say when you are driving to or doing something or at the job, and when you're coming back, giving you blessings. And the most important is, do not forget to wash your feet or take off your shoes. Do not mix with different stories. Just let it go. And that is in the evening, making sure that you're mindful of giving blessings to yourself. And that way, that practice basically helps significantly to live a happy life. To live a happy life. And basically you are giving blessings to yourself all the time, every time. And as we know, mindfulness, well, basically giving blessings. Each time when we become mindful, it is a blessings to us, isn't it? And with that, we are not lost into the thoughts. And we become mindful of our own mind, which normally goes far and wide, and it lands wherever it pleases, and then it's very hard to tame. Now, when this is very hard to tame, by being simply mindful or just giving a blessings and 3 times a day, you are basically taming this mind. And when we are taming this mind in this way, obviously it brings happiness. Yeah? So happiness is the path that we are walking in by simply being mindful of it. Right? There is a story comes in a Buddhist scripture. Once there were 60 monks, after receiving a meditation object or techniques from the Buddha, went into the forest, and in went to a remote village, and in that village, the one decent lady become a supporter and supporting all the necessary things for the monks, all the 60 monks. And it happened that after a couple of days of supporting the monks, she wanted to learn meditation. So in that case, she went up and asked, how do you meditate? And one of the monks, representative monks, told her that meditation on 32 parts of the body. That's from hair of the head, hair of the body, nail, and the teeth and the flesh, the skin. Further on goes on up to the 32 parts, and she was very delighted, and she went on practicing hair of the head, hair of the body, nail, teeth, and then skin with that. And it happens that by repeatedly doing it, diligently doing it, she managed to control her mind and become excellent. So she managed to get rid of all the defilements. Right? And that's how she managed to learn her mind and overcome all the defilements. Right? So with this in mind, okay, I also would encourage you to be mindful of your own body and bodily activities. With that, you will be able to recognize your mind and ability to control your mind that normally swiftly and lightly travels far and wide and wherever it pleases. So rather than letting it to land on wherever it pleases, we become mindful and this is, that is not, right? So, and that could possible whenever you recognize it, simply bring that mind back to your primary object. If your breath, if abdomen, just abdomen rises and falls, and which normally you will be able to recognize some form of changes or a sickness in your abdomen arises whenever these things happen. Okay, so with this in mind, let's practice again. Okay, so as I hit the gong, sit comfortably and lead you for the practice. Okay. Sitting comfortably and bring your attention to the moment here and now. Spend some time on the breath. And be mindful of your mind that normally travels far and wide, difficult to control. Try to notice where does it go and how are you responding it. Respond it with observation, acknowledgement, noting and letting go, and back to the primary object. By repeatedly responding it, by recognition of it, and observing, acknowledging, noting, and letting go, we're basically taming the mind, ability to tame this mind. And this taming, we can bring the blessings to us. Although we may not be able to bring the blessings throughout the day, at least try to be mindful of the blessings in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the evening in a day-to-day life. So we'll stop speaking for some time to let you practice. As you hear the gong, slowly open up and come out from the meditation. Okay, so thank you very much. Anybody has got anything to share or ask on this practice? Any thoughts? You must have something, some experiences, whether you managed to pay attention to or not.
The second time was harder to come. The first meditation that we did today was much more easier for me. The second one was a lot of mind wavering.
Okay.
And then was going through what you said, right? To acknowledge, note, understand, and then come back to the primary object. But there was quite a lot of sideways movements.
Okay. So it's like a pulling and pushing game going on with your mind. Okay. Thank you. Nah. Unmute.
I have a question.
Okay.
When I have a meditation, I can sleep well when I sitting meditation, but in the daytime, I can't sleep, and I try to meditation in the bed, but not sleep. Why?
Number one, because when you are meditating, you do not have desire to sleep. When you are sleeping, you have a desire to sleep. When you have no desire, and then your mind calms down, mind is free from distractions, then that takes you to sleep easily. But when you have a desire that I want to sleep, you are fighting with the sleepiness. You're fighting with the thoughts. You're fighting with I have to sleep. And your mind is so active. Right? And when your mind is so active, then you cannot sleep. The sleep mode is the moment when the mind is deactivated. So that is the reason why when we meditate, number one, it's very easy to fall into sleep because you are having a very calm and collected mind, free from distractions. This is one of the hindrances in the practice of a meditation. It's called Nivon. Ning Nai Nivon Ha. So one of the 5 hindrances, sleepiness. And in that case, when you are meditating, the best solution when you meditate, try to sleep, that I have to sleep. I want to sleep, then it won't take you to sleep. When you go to sleep, try to meditate. Do not think of sleeping. Think of, okay, just to watch the breath and relax the mind, relax the body, okay? And then automatically just go to sleep. This is for the ordinary practice. Whereas in higher practice, what happens is that while you are meditating, you have to push hard to be mindful of the object of a meditation. And when you are pushing hard to pay attention to the object of a meditation, then that wakes you up. Now, sleepiness is one of my problem too when I am meditating. I have been working with it quite a while now, maybe a year now. I still can't overcome. And that is, I have tried so many techniques, and the one problem I'm facing is that when I am meditating, I feel that I am mindful. I'm aware of the object, and I'm aware of the thoughts, what's going on in me. But when I look at the records, the video records, my head is just dropping like this. So which is still contradict with my mental experiences and the virtual appearance, right? So this is, I've been working on quite a while now. But for the sleepiness, this is how you do while you are meditating. And when you go to sleep, obviously, a person who is practicing meditation, you have to develop certain states that what moment you went to sleep and what moment when you woke up. So the moment here basically means if you're watching the breath, is it the moment when you're breathing in and you slept, or is it the breathing out that you slept? Or rising, falling, is it the time when the the abdomen rises, you went on sleeping, or it is the moment when it falls that you slept? And the same in the waking up time, because of the consciousness working continuously, when you wake up, if you manage to recognize the moment when you went to sleep, when you wake up, you will be able to manage to be mindful of waking up, in which mental state. So suppose in my own experience, when I go to sleep, suppose it went when the abdomen falls, when I wake up, the first mind I can observe is the abdomen rises, not the fall. This is opposite. So it's like this moment of this moment of a falling before it rises, this whole night. So conscious of this whole night becomes the moment of this transition. It's quite interesting. And then the same with the breathing meditation. Now, breathing meditation is a difficult one. When we are paying attention to the breath, when we meditate, when we go to sleep, it makes you awake almost all night. Almost all night. You're still awake. You feel awake, but you are sleeping. Okay? You feel awake, but you are sleeping. And as a result of that, when you wake up, it's supposed to be grumpy and tiredness, but you won't feel like that. You feel fresh, like you have been sleeping. Right? That is quite an interesting one. But normally what happens is that when we can't sleep, or not when we can't sleep, when we feel awake, when we are observing the breath coming in and going out, certainly suddenly this thought arises, oh, tomorrow I have to go to work. If I don't sleep, I will be grumpy. If I don't sleep, I will have no energy. And so these thoughts will simply clicks in. As these clicks in, what happens? Then fighting starts. Okay, now I have to give up meditation, or I have to give up paying attention to the breath, or otherwise I will not be able to work tomorrow. I will be grumpy, so and so. Okay, so that happens. But there are the story about the sleepiness in meditation. Venerable Moggallana, the second left-hand side of the Buddha, when he was meditating, he was also sleeping all the time, like dozing off. And then and there is instruction given that think of the teachings, basically investigate on teachings let's say, one of the teachings, Dhamma, take the Dhamma and then investigate, oh, this Dhamma, this is how, let's say, mindfulness. So reflecting on a mindfulness. You can think of a word mindfulness, and you can think of how to write. So M-I-N-D, so on, and then investigating further on that how we should be mindful. Let's say speaking time, let's say walking time, eating time, like that. So as you investigate in this way, mind becomes active. And when mind becomes active, basically it helps to overcome sleepiness. But sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't. So in that case, again, the further instruction is open your eyes. And despite of opening your eyes, is still feeling sleepiness, then move your hands or move your legs and a little bit, some movements in your physical body. And you still feel sleepiness, stand up. And you're doing standing up meditation. So while you're doing a standing up meditation and still feel sleepiness, go to wash your face. So using the cold water and wash your face. And then despite of doing this, you still feel sleepiness, go to sleep. Okay, go to sleep. So that is a physical need. So that's why I normally ask members that if you're feeling sleepiness, checking yourself that is it the physical body needs, or is it the desire or your kilesha, your defilement. If that's your want, then strive on, do not go. But if the physical body needs, then go on, have some nap. Okay? Have some nap. Like that way. For me, I can sleep anywhere. All I need is just a pillow and just go on, watch, breath, couple of breath, and I'm gone. I will be snoring out loud like a lion in the jungle. Okay, so this is the ways to deal with the sleepiness in meditation and in the sleeping time. So sleeping, basic formula is when you are meditating, try to sleep. When you are sleeping, try to meditate. And that works counterpart. Mm-hmm. Anybody else? Any thought? And this story of a Moggallana, Venerable Moggallana, the left-hand side monk, he followed the Buddha's instruction. And later he managed to overcome his drowsiness. And he, again, he is the left-hand side personal assistant of the Buddha. And he was the foremost in the magical power, psychic power equivalent with the Buddha, and yet he suffered. So Buddha gave him a further instruction to overcome in that way. So we are bound to have such experiences. Okay. Right. Last anyone has got any question to ask, or just fine? Stefan?
I have one question. What is the end of the story, the blessing story? What God did?
Oh. Okay, so well, actually, yeah, that end of the story brings the Songkran festival. Okay, so the end of the story, the next day, the divine Brahma Kapila descends from the heavenly world and asks the Dhammapala what are the blessings. So blessings in the morning, Dhammapala answer, oh, it is in our face. So, and he explains, and then, oh, it is blessings in the afternoon, it's in our chest, and explains, and in the evening, it's in our feet. And by answering that, Kapila Brahm was amazed that how could you manage to do that? But now Kapila Brahma, the divine, has to maintain his words. But being a Brahma, according to the ancient legends, known as the creator and such a powerful person, and being a powerful divine being, if his head, the story says, a story is a story, right? So if his head put in the ocean, all the water will dry away. That will cause a trouble on earth. And if that head fall on the ground, the earth will dried like a no inhabitable place. All the trees and all the grasses will go like a burned out. It's like a desert. And then if it throw on the sky, then there will be no air. So there's a trouble. Well, once you cut your head, obviously you have to put somewhere. And as a result of that, then this Kapila Brahma had 7 daughters. Now 7 daughters volunteered to hold his head for whole 1 year. And then that's the transition time. This new year is basically a transition time that one sister is handing his father's head to another sister. And that's how the new year starts. And based on that new year, the transition in Thailand, there will be a beauty contest. So this new beauty contest lady will be named after the New Year Songkran, who will have a responsibility to hold this divine being's head for a whole year. And that's the reason in the Songkran festivals, in the temples, whenever there is a Songkran celebration, there will be a beauty contest. Wearing a beautiful Thai costumes, and there will be a dancings, and it's basically like a context for the Miss World universe. There will be similar questions and test their abilities like that. Okay. So Kapila Brahma, the divine being, failed, so he had to cut his head. Okay. So that's the story of a Songkran festival. So Songkran basically means transition from one set of a time to another set of a time. It's like in a paganism, it's called equinox, that normally change every season, like from a summer to winter, winter to spring, spring to summer, summer to autumn, like that. Equinox, like that. Right. Okay. Last session, I mentioned about being in a practice in 3 situations. One is sitting, and one is walking, and one is in daily activities. Okay? So being mindful on these 3 activities. And now today, I just want to recap that how do we be mindful? So that I have given 4 words. That is, if you remember, observation, observing, and then acknowledgement, and then try to note it, that okay, this is happening to me. Yeah, this is happening. So noting moment. And then the last one is, rather than having any like a holding or trying to reject it, simply let go. Okay, and back to the moment here and now. It's called Pachupanadam, and that is the mindfulness. This is how we can develop our mindfulness. And in a Buddhist term, a mindfulness is, first of all, it means being cautious, being cautious of situations. So basically, be prepared. And the number two is being here and now, in the moment, here and now, present moment. That is called the present moment awareness, being here and now. And this is very important. Cautious is, again, it's like nowadays we can think of COVID-19. Although in the UK there is no restrictions anymore, we don't have to wear masks, we don't have to use any alcohols to wash our hands, so there is no restrictions. But before that, there were so many things that we have to be cautious about. Wearing masks and washing our hands and social distance and so on. So these are the measures basically given to be mindful of protection. Yeah. So that is the meaning of a mindfulness in a Buddhist term. So being cautious about anything could happen, and being mindful. So that is being cautious. And second one is, by being cautious doesn't mean that we are thinking of the past or worrying about the future. We need to be in the present moment. And here, in the present moment basically means that although we are thinking about the past, the very moment when we manage to recognize that I am thinking of the past, then that moment of a thinking, that moment of a knowing is taking place here and now, because this is the moment. What am I doing now? So that's a recognition. Similarly, whatever we are planning for ahead, again, the moment when we know that I am thinking of the future, that moment of knowing is again happening here and now. Yeah. So this is called the being moment here and now. It's called Pachupanadam. And then the further on, the third, I would say, is called living heedlessly, or living mindfully, or not living life with mindlessness. We are not doing automatically everything. Being mindful of every movement, every action, every words that we are doing, we are mindful of it. And being mindful each time, whatever we are doing. Will you be able to manage that? Which is quite a difficult one. Mindful of speaking, mindful of doing, mindful of walking, mindful of eating. And basically, it's like whatever the activities that we are doing, just be mindful. So this is in the Satipatthana Sutta, this course called this Satipatthana discourse. It comes in Sampajanya Pabba, the awareness called Yato yato nang panihitang tatha tatha nang pajanati. So whatever position you are in, you are mindful of. Right? So that's it. And this is basically not living heedlessly. You simply become a mindless, not doing things mindlessly. Just to be aware that you are doing these things, not in an automatic mode. And this is a classical story, as when you are driving. When you are driving, You just need to move your hands and legs and everything in a mindful way, rather than driving mindlessly, because it's been automatic. You know it, so automatically you're doing. So rather than doing it automatically, just step back and knowing, okay, I'm going to change the gear from number 2 to number 3 or number 4, like that. And then when we learn to drive, we were taught, before changing the gear, look at the mirrors, look at the mirrors, both sides and the back. But what happens is that after we have learned learned to drive, and we have been driving for some times, we forget about these things. Automatically we're doing it. So rather than doing it automatically in that way, just be mindful. Okay, look at the mirrors, back, and then change the gear. I know this is a very difficult one, and this is kind of automatic. I need to go, so you will just change and go, and this is a mindlessly doing it, and that's how lots of accidents and cause the troubles. But here, basically, with a mindfulness, changing it gear, and again, doesn't mean that you are doing a tortoise speed. You're doing it in a standard speed. Okay, and then the further on, the meaning of this mindfulness here is that our mind so we're developing our mind in such a certain way that it becomes so sharp, that we can recognize what happened, and in the meantime, ability to bring all our intelligence to make it right. Right? So that's why it's making it right is the key here. That's why it says the mindfulness meditation alone is not enough. Right? You have to have mindful awareness. Right? Mindful awareness. So with that, you're bringing your intelligence to see it in its true nature, and that is the vipassana. See it in its true nature, insight, knowing into the deeper understanding of it. And with that, what happens is that we will be able to see that the things that we supposed to avoid, we will be avoiding. Things we should develop, we will be developing, and things that we have developed, we will be maintaining that, and then also we will be furthering up, enhancing that the good quality or wholesome qualities for betterness and happiness of ourselves. Okay, so these are the mindfulness comes into the practice, which we can use in our day-to-day life. And further on top of that, I just would like to give you further that as I have said in the previously, sitting, walking, and daily activities are the practice. But when we are practicing, there are some requirements for the development. The number one is the place. It's like charging a battery for our mobile phones. So it has to have a plug so that you are charging the battery. So same with our practice of a meditation, that we have to have a place to meditate, that we feel comfortable, that we feel secure, and we feel that this is the place, and once I am here, feel comfortable to sit and practice meditation. Okay? And this place again should be free from other disturbances. Okay, should be free from other disturbances. And try to avoid any other disturbances during that time. It's like when you are charging the battery, you just need to leave it safely over there. And number two, what we need further that just comfortable clothings and comfortable seats and comfortable comfortability in our physical posture. That needs to be mindful of as well. If you're feeling uncomfortable, then it will be difficult to meditate, and particularly any clothing that you are wearing, if that is too tight, then again causes a trouble. You will not be able to meditate properly. And this is again for the sitting meditation. Okay, and then the third thing is that we need some form of assurance, some form of a security and a spiritual security. And as a result of that, we normally take the Buddha and the teachers as our refuge in the practice. So with that, we are like, okay, I have got the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, and a teacher there to guide me, and they will put me in the right place, the right path. So with that, it develops the confidence in the practice. Okay, when there is spiritually and psychologically, when it gives us a boosting by it, then it really helps to develop more in the practice of a meditation. So that's why the third one is try to have some models, like we take the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, and the teacher as a model. So we take a refuge on that. This is like a toddler. When a toddler starts to walk, they have to rely on somebody else, the parents or the siblings, holding their hands and start to walk. And that's the same with us, as we are a toddler in the practice of a meditation. So we have to rely on someone's help. So we are holding someone's hand, basically. So taking that refuge will help to walk further in a deeper understanding of it. Then the next one is the object of a meditation, which I have been saying again and again, that familiarize with your primary object. You need to adopt one object and work with that object and familiarize with it as many as you can, or as close as you can, familiarizing with the object. Let's say some of you said that the breathing meditation is comfortable in your nose. So make sure that you're working with that breath, in breath, out breath, and how you feel in breath and out breath. When breathing in, where it touches. When you're breathing out, when it touches. When you're breathing in, what form of temperature of this breath is. Incoming breath, what is the temperature? Outgoing breath, what is the temperature? Okay, like that. And then when it long, when the breathing in long, when breathing out short, what are the nature of the breath is. So okay, so just needs to familiarize with that one very closely. Okay, very, very closely. Maybe next time I will focus on that one at a time, so that you will get deeper understanding further on. And then the same with the rising and falling of abdomen. Suppose you have adapted the rising and falling of abdomen, then make sure that you are familiarized with it very closely. So you manage to be mindful of your breath, so this rising and falling. As it rises, how you note it. As it falls, how you note it. When it is falling, what happens? When it is rising, what happens? And how this rises and how this falls. There's a whole circle is there. Okay, so try to familiarize with it. And this familiarizing with the this is known as a primary object, right? So familiarizing with this primary objects really, really helps to tame this uncontrollable mind. Because our mind always needs somewhere to go, somewhere to think, and something to think. And what happens is that the very moment when we manage to note it, see, observe, acknowledge, and note. So the moment when we note, what happens is that our mind recognizes that, oh, my boss has recognized me thinking about this. Now I have to change. So it's like a baby having too many toys, plays with it, and then move to another toys. So mind exactly does like that. And in that moment, rather than letting the random object, this mind, rather than letting this mind to choose the random objects, what happens is that as we become familiar with the object, as soon as we note it, the mind automatically thinks things that it has been doing regularly. So automatically it comes back to the primary object. And automatically, vaguely we will be able to think about, or not think about, or vaguely we can see or visualize this primary object, let's say the rising and fall. So you will be able to recognize that. And then what happens is that it becomes easy to let go. Okay, let go of object that we are thinking and then coming back. So letting go happens then. Letting go becomes easier and comes back to the primary object. So with that, it fulfills the observation of the mind that is distracted or the away from the primary object, and then acknowledgement, noting, and then letting go. So these are 4 words accomplished there. Okay, and with that, what happens is that we will be able to tame this mind properly. So this is how we are taming this mind, rather than uncontrollable this mind. The mind becomes controlled. And this controlling, we are not using any force, but simply knowing it, right? Simply knowing that. And this is how we will be able to let go. And that's how we can develop the further practice. Right? So that's what the next one was. The object of meditation needs to be clear and much familiar. Needs to be clear and familiar. And the last one, obviously, practice makes perfect. Practice makes perfect. We have to put it into practice, otherwise difficult. That's why at the beginning I mentioned reminding that 15 seconds of a mindfulness, whether we have been practicing or not, whether we've been mindful of paying attention to this 15 seconds of practice or not. And then further on, this 15 seconds of a practice, I adopted the story of a Songkran, blessings. So just to be mindful. In the morning blessings, you're giving blessings to you in the morning by yourself. Be mindful of it in an afternoon and in the evening. Particularly in the evening one, make sure that you take off your shoes. Here, shoes doesn't mean the virtual shoes, but anything that you have done outside, just leave it outside. Do not bring it into the home. So just to be mindful of that. And with that, definitely you will be happier and makes you more sleepiness in the night when you go into the bed. Okay, so these are the further advice I would like to give you today to take away and practice. Right? So anything, anybody has got anything to ask or anything that you need further updates?
I have a question because I can feel that I haven't practiced this in a long time. So the first meditation was almost not possible. The second was a bit easier, but still I feel that I watch the video, but my mind is traveling a lot somewhere else. And with my fingers, I'm really restless today. So I don't know if there is anything how I can focus on them, or if I should just let it go, or do you have any tip for you?
Well, first of all, let me ask you, Catherine, which object you've been practicing, breath or the abdomen?
The breath.
Breath, okay.
Always easier.
Yeah, okay. So if that's a breath, that's just making sure that you're mindful of the breath coming in and going out as a primary object. And then when mind drifts away somewhere, it's okay. Okay, when it's restless, it's okay. Do not fight with it. The moment when you recognize that I am thinking of something, now I need to bring it back to the breath. Then gently, I've been thinking. Okay, now enough. Come back. Now come back. And then breathing in and breathing out. So this is the basic instruction. Do not fight that my mind is restless. I need to back to be in the breath. Do not fight like that. It's like you are patting a cat. The more you say, you should come here, the cat will run away. But if you pat it slowly, then there's a meow, it will just come and cuddles you. Right? Same with our mind too. Do not force it. You should come to the breath. Then mind will know, now I know the trick, how to manipulate you. So every time when you try to meditate, paying attention to the breath, it will say, oh, you have to do this, you have to do that, and it goes on into the thoughts and the plans. So rather than doing that, what we are doing is, okay, you're here. Pat it gently with a kindness, with the metta. Okay? Pat it. Okay. The very moment when it slows thinking, okay, bring it. Bring it back to the breath. So this is the initial stage of working with it. But again, if it's really out loud, mind is really restless and mind is really thinking out loud, then as you said, your hands and fingers is moving. And that's fine. In that case, again, you can use that movement as the object of meditation. So you are playing, pressing, and at this moment, you have to use like intentionally pressing, or intentionally you are doing it, rather than doing it randomly. Okay, I'm stressed, my mind is restless, now I can't pay attention to the breath, it's okay. So then pressing, which I think I have mentioned, I have taught one of the sessions as well, pressing the fingers deliberately with your intention, pressing it. With that pressing, what happens is that slowly that thought settles. Mind comes to the moment here and now. Okay? And with that, the very moment when it comes, take a long breath, back to breath. Right? And when you back to breath, remember not pressing it. Okay? Not pressing it. So just the breath. Okay? Sometimes I use these hands for that as well. Yeah. So this, you may have practiced this. And then from here, just 2, and then go into 3, and go into 4, go into 5. Yeah? So this you can practice too. I do that. And then oftentimes when I am going out for, like, let's say, giving talks in somewhere very unfamiliar, I normally put the beads in my hand. Do you know beads? I put the beads. I just put it inside, like here. One is here. This is not the one I normally use. This is not the normally what I use. I use another one, which this is a green one. So I put it in my wrist like this, and then I play. And then if it's still not, because giving a talks in an unfamiliar place is quite stressful, then I just take it out and count. Nothing, just count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like that, counting up to finish it. This can also practice. Okay? So, and these are again in a really difficult moments. And again, once you recognize that your mind is settled, that very moment, back to your primary object. Do not waste time in any other places. Okay? And that is the reason I also mentioned that we need to work with the primary object and familiarize with it so that it becomes easier in those situations. Right? So never fight with that. Just to recognize and know that this is happening and then bring it back. Okay. Right. Okay. And before practicing loving kindness meditation, anybody, anything, anyone? Okay. In that case, let's practice the loving kindness meditation to finish that. Okay. So, as you hear the gong, just practicing. Okay, so bring your attention to the moment here and now. Relax the entire body. You may spend some time taking a long breath just to relax the entire body. Let's familiarize with your primary object, the breath of the abdomen. And spend some time with the primary object. As you're paying attention to the primary object, if mind drifts away to something else, into the thoughts, the plannings, just use 4 words: observation, acknowledging, noting, and letting go. Consciously aware of what's happening. And recognizing it rather than reacting to it, simply responding, this is there. This is happening. With that, we become familiar with our primary object. The more we spend time with the primary object, not letting the mind to choose wherever it likes to fall in. We're taming this mind. A tamed mind brings only goodness to ourselves. And expanding that feeling of calm, peace, and joy to yourself by observing the entire body, a sense of peace and calmness, a relaxed position. And spend some time on your hands, observing whatever sensations are there. And feel in your heart, the beating heart, along with the beating heart, feeling that relax, joy, and peace. And expanding, covering entire yourself. Connecting within yourself. And mentally, you may tell to yourself, may I be happy. Allowing yourself to be happy. Allowing yourself to be free from sufferings. May I be free from suffering. May I be free from troubles of the body and mind. May I be free from hostility. May I be free from hurtfulness and hatred. May I be able to maintain my happiness. Similarly, sharing a loving kindness and compassion to all other sentient beings, starting from near dear one or any particular person that you think that they really need it. A person who is close to us, a person who is next to us, a person who we know as a friend or relatives, or someone who do not know but feels that they need it. Imagining them and sending this love and kindness. May you be well, may you be happy, may you be at peace. Sending this love and kindness to a person who is next to you, members of the family in the same building, members of the family in different buildings, members of the community, members of country, on earth, in the universe, whatever beings there are, may they be well, may they be happy. May they be free from suffering. May they be liberated, liberated. Whatever beings there are, visible and invisible beings, in the room, in the city, in the country, on earth, and in this entire universe. May they be well, may they be happy, may they be free from suffering, may they be free from hurtfulness, may they be free from hatred, may they be free from troubles of a body and mind. May they be liberated, liberated. Now bring that attention back to your hands, aware of sensations in your hands. Whatever sensations are there, simply be mindful of it. Bring your attention to your body. Be mindful of the sensations in your body. Be mindful of your eyes. Observing the tensions in your eyes, the relax in your eyes. And watching the intention to open your eyes or unintention. And as you hear a gong, slowly but mindfully opening your eyes and come out from meditation and reflect for a few moments. Okay, so thank you very much, everyone, for the day, and wish you all the best for this month, and keep practicing. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you. You too.